not descended from Cain or whatever garbage argument people want to use that makes them feel better about saying that I'm a Christian, but then I don't have to defend all the supernatural stuff. So we're just going to pretend like that stuff doesn't exist. Hey everyone, I'm Rachel, and today on Crack Your Bible, we are going to be talking about Genesis 6. My hair is kind of all crazy today, and it always looks like I have tracks, like I have a weave in, but I don't. I just have like really thin, weird hair. So yeah, I have bad hair. It's all crazy. Ugh, such is life. We are doing the overview for Genesis 6. Now, in Genesis 6, this is the key to understanding the Bible, because if you don't understand Genesis 6, God in the Old Testament doesn't make sense. He seems like a really angry, mean God. And then the book of Revelation just seems like crazy talk. Like, was somebody eating mushrooms or something when they wrote this? Like, what was John doing? But unless you understand Genesis 6, nothing makes sense. Well, before I get into this, I just want to let you know that this is the overview for Genesis 6. There is a Genesis 6 playlist. I'm going to put it up right here, wherever. And there's also a special playlist specifically for things dealing with the Nephilim that kind of go into the vlog category, not necessarily like the verse by verse, chapter by chapter Genesis 6. So right here, I will have the Nephilim playlist as well. So let us just jump right in. So what happens? Well, we have to roll back to the end of Genesis 4, and people began to defile the name of God. That playlist is right here, chapter 4. But what was going on? People weren't happy with God. They were kind of doing their own thing. They're turning away from God in droves. So they are defiling the name of God. They're saying that they're God's children, but they are doing things that show that they are not God's children. So they are taking his name in vain. They are defiling, profaning his name. And all of a sudden, in Genesis 5, we have a righteous man named Enoch. He comes onto the scene, and in the book of Jude and elsewhere in the Bible, we see that he's a righteous man. He warned people about what they were doing, like, stop doing what you're doing. And he walked with God, and then he was no more. So he didn't die. God just took him up to heaven. So that's Genesis 5. That playlist is also right here. Now, Genesis 5 goes from Adam all the way to Noah. And Noah is where we really get in for the next few chapters. So, here we are. Genesis 6. Now, there were these entities called the sons of God, and they were fallen angels. And they saw that the daughters of human, literally daughters of humans, were attractive, so they went into them, they had sex, and produced children. So they are hybrids. They became the mighty men of old, men of renown. They're like the Titans. So these hybrids, kind of like Hercules is a Titan. His dad was Zeus and his mom was a human. That is a Nephilim, or a Titan. We see in cultures all over the world, they have these hybrids, and yes, these hybrids actually did exist. People weren't just all on drugs or just out of their minds. Like, they saw these things. And after the Tower of Babel, they went off and they told their stories in their own cultures. And not to say that all of their stories are true with all of like kind of the crazy feats that these people did. But yes, Nephilim, hybrids, Titans, whatever you want to call them, existed. And the Bible tells us how they came to be. Now, there's people out there that completely reject the supernatural of the Bible. They say, oh, this is just a fantastic explanation of the Bible, and these sons of God were actually just the children of Cain from the story of Cain and Abel. Well, that doesn't make sense at all. And the reason I say that is because the Bible says in Genesis 6 that in those days and also afterwards, there were the Nephilim. So what is afterwards? After the flood. If they were all children of Cain, they would not have lived after the flood, because Genesis 6, 7, 8, 9, etc., they're all talking about Noah, tells us that there were only 8 people on the ark. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and their 3 wives. So that's 8 people, plus all the various animals. They were descended from the line of Seth, not Cain, so there were no children of Cain left over. But we do know that there were giants in the land after the flood, and if you want to find out about that in this video about Nimrod, you will see it right here, how they could have survived. Well, we do. We see that there were giants in the land. We see this in the story of David and Goliath. We see this when the spies were sent in to Israel and they came back with a cluster of grapes that was so large that it had to be carried by 2 men. Now, you've seen grapes, I know you have, and a cluster, not just like the individual grape, and if I get any sort of comment saying that I'm doing like the crazy 666 because I'm doing this, like, please leave now, like, out of my channel. No, so you've seen like the individual grape, right? And you've seen a cluster of grapes. It's like the size of your hand. Now, imagine a cluster of grapes that is so large that 2 men have to carry it. Clearly, that shows you the scale of how large these giants were. It wasn't, oh, he's like 6 foot or 7 foot tall and everybody else is just short because they have poor nutrition. No, there were actual giants. We have every culture all over the world talks of these giants, and Genesis 6 is the one that explains all of it. So, what happens? These fallen angels, they're masquerading as sons of God. They're taking God's name in vain. They're saying, I'm part of this group, when they are not. So they've taken God's name in vain, and they've gone in and had sex with these women, these human women, and produce children. Because we do know that angels can come down and take a physical form. We see this in the story of Lot. So why wouldn't fallen angels be able to do so? I mean, Jesus was circumcised himself, and he had the sexual reproductive organs even though he didn't use them. So again, why wouldn't fallen angels be able to do these things? So anyway, whenever you get with a fallen angel, so one of the minions of Satan, bad things are going to happen. When you become one flesh with a fallen angel, you're gonna get on some crazy things, and that's what we see happening with all of the people. And it gets so bad that God regrets his creation, because again, thanks a lot, Satan, this is why we can't have nice things. God is a just God, even when he deals with Satan. So Satan hasn't faced judgment yet, right? Because Satan rebelled against God, and he took a third of the angels with him, and yeah, he hasn't faced judgment yet. So he's basically out on bail right now, and Satan's entire plan is to make sure that he does not face judgment. That is very central to Genesis 6. So they want to make sure, Satan and his fallen angels want to make sure that a Messiah does not come, because when the Messiah comes, hell is going to break loose. Literally, it will break loose, because they will know that God is coming for them. And if a redeemer can come and human beings can be redeemed, that means that game, set, and match, things are going to get crazy. So they want to make sure that there is no human that will be born that can become the Messiah. Now, I say human because you have to remember that all the way back in Genesis 3, God promised Eve that the seed of woman, so the child of Eve, would bruise the head of Satan, and that Satan would bruise his heel. So the Messiah, not only to be a Redeemer has to be all God and all human, it has to come through Eve. So the human portion of the Messiah needs to be born. Now, if everybody has been intermarried and having sex with fallen angels, then you're not going to have a Messiah that can redeem humanity, because they're all hybrids. They're not fully human. And God does not have anything to do with the demonic, so that can't happen. So what are they going to do? If God is not a liar and God has to make sure that this Messiah comes, even though he regrets making humanity, everything is terrible because everybody is just evil, 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 they're all corrupted, what is he going to do? Well, he has to find somebody who is not corrupted, and that is where Noah comes in. And it's not that Noah is a good person or a kind person or just upstanding and moral. It's because Noah and his wife and their 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and then each son's wife, there's 3 wives, they each have 1 wife, they're the only ones that have not intermingled with these fallen angels. So their DNA is pure. They are completely 100% human. So they are suitable for the Messiah to come through their line. And Noah is descended from Shem, and that is why in Genesis 5 we have this genealogy. So we can see that no, they're not descended from Cain or whatever garbage argument people want to use that makes them feel better about saying that I'm a Christian, but then I don't have to defend all the supernatural stuff, so we're just going to pretend like that stuff doesn't exist. No, we see that, yes, these were spiritual beings. They were not the sons of Cain. Noah was a son from Shem. So only the humans that came from Shem made it after the flood. So God tells Noah, I'm done with all this garbage. I'm not sticking around for it. And I am not going to allow Satan to just go crazy while he's out on bail and try to make it where the Messiah can't come through. I'm wiping the slate clean. We're done with this. So in 120 years, everybody better act right, because hell is about to break loose. No joke. So if you haven't made it with a fallen angel, don't. Over the next 120 years, I'm going to keep telling y'all, stop doing what you're doing. Stop messing around. Stop having sex with fallen angels, producing titans, producing Nephilim hybrids. Like, enough with the garbage. Like, cut it out. Because things are about to get wild. So Noah and his family have 120 years to warn people that they need to act right. Like, stop doing what you're doing. But then also we see that God tells Noah, build an ark. Like, I already know things are going to get crazy. I still got to wipe this slate clean. So you need to build an ark. And Noah does it. And that is basically the overview of Genesis 6. So I hope you will like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you later. Bye.